Greetings everyone, welcome to this new video. We're gonna go through my 100 Elder City Square that I just did. What I want to go through with you is my investment and the setup I have, my profits, and the improvements I want for you in the future, so we all can grow from my experience and make something better out of it. So why did I choose to go with Elder City Square? Well, first of all, it has good sextant location. You use 2 white, 2 yellow to get it going, which is not that high investment, and you're gonna basically sustain half of it just by running the maps themselves. Also, it's circular, which means that you're gonna fully clear it. It has good mob density on top of that. That means you're gonna run around in a circle, and when you get back to the starting position, you just go into the middle and kill the 3 bosses. I ended up with almost 0 mobs each time I ran this map, so that is very nice. And the 3 bosses, if you val all your maps, that means those 3 bosses have a good chance of dropping sacrificial fragments. And together with Blight and some of the sextant mods, that means you're gonna half sustain your sac frags, or even more than half sustain, just by running these maps, which is extremely good, because that means less trading and more going into maps and just focusing solely on that. The layout is very fast and the profits are insane. From one thing that I just looked through when I went through my tabs, is that I basically make back my whole investment just from the Harbinger shards. That means the 4 seed that I invested on my Sana mod basically netted me enough to just say, okay, I made back all my profit. That is only from the Harbinger shards and all the ancient orbs and annulments. Those are the only things, and the exalted orbs, of course, I pick up from that. So there is some great profits to be made here, and we're gonna go through them later. But let's go to the next section. As a side note, just before we go into the next part, is that this is all the loot I got from 100 Elder City Square maps. I also tracked my delve during that time with only the sulfite that I got from these maps. So this is very important, because as you can see here, I'm not like most other YouTubers here where they have multiple stash tabs, multi-quad tabs, like 10 of those in a row with all the loot. No, that's not how I do it. I have a really strict filter, and I pick up about half of all the loot on those filter. And the reason for that is I don't want to trade for a few C's at a time. If I'm picking up rare items, it better be bulk selling there for bases and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's not worth my time. So if I pick up an item that I know is gonna be 5 chaos, I just toss it directly in the trash, because it's not worth my time. I can just run half another map in the time it takes me to invite the guy, go to my hideout, do the trading, and then get back into mapping. I could have made 5 chaos without the trade, and I lost experience and just lost the fun factor of running these maps. So that is a very important point to be made. So this is very little loot, it looks like, but it's gonna add up to a lot of currency in the end, I believe. So that is the only thing I wanted to talk about right here. For our first section, I want to talk about setup and investment, because I think there's some key points here we can do, and we're going to talk about some of these in the improvements also that I noticed that I should have done but I did not, and then I noticed in the middle or something, but then I just continued all the way through to keep my result consistent. For the setup, we're just gonna do all the Sana missions, bring it into the shaper, and then do the shaper, and voila, you got your Elder Orb. You can look at videos how to get the Elder Orb, but I presume you already know how to do that. Then we're gonna sextant Fungal Hollow, Channel, Lighthouse, and Almanac. Those are the 4 sextants we're gonna do. We're gonna take away the Guardian maps from this section, so we just have our Elder City Square as our only T16 drop. So very important to do so. Also, when you run the sextant mods, if you get something bad, don't re-roll it directly. Just go to the next one and next one and next one. That's gonna save you a lot of sextant in the end, because of one simple reason, because it's all tied to this Elder City Square, and you cannot roll multiple of the same mod. So if you have a bad one on these white maps, that means you have a much higher chance of rolling good ones on the yellow. That means you do those first, and then you go back and re-roll all the bad mods after the fact. So that's gonna save you a lot of currency in the long run. So it's very nice. Also something, you wanna run your master missions when you are having certain things happening for you. So I have 3 areas, so we can take a look here. So let's say I have, we can pick up some maps here. And I have 3 areas where I put my maps. There and there. So these 3 areas symbolizes what I'm gonna do with them. And it's very important. I'm gonna put it up here. This section is just my normal, because when you value maps, it can happen 3 different things, basically, or 4. It can either stay the same, and it can re-roll the mods to something just with low quantity. So these are my low quantity maps. Then this section is they go unidentified. That means they gain extra quantity on those maps. I think it's 20. And there's also a sextant mod that gives you extra pack size and extra quantity on unidentified maps if you run them. Then the third one is gonna be the super used one, when you gain a Val orb and then you click it, and then gives you 8 mods on that map. That means those are gonna be extremely high, like 130 quantity and like 40 in pack size. Those are insanely good. I also had a 4th one here in the corner with all the LED reflect. I'm just running those all at the same time. So you want to use these piles in different occasions. If you run bad sextant mods and don't want to run any master mission, then you run these. If you have the unidentified mod as a sextant, then you run the unidentified maps. So don't touch those before that happens, because it rolls quite often. And then when you get that perfect storm of like a harbinger in the middle of the map, you have extra monsters on every sextant mod, you have maybe hunted traders, which is very good also. Maybe those kind of things, you run these maps, which are super high quantity and pack size. So that's my biggest tip here. And when you're running the 3rd category here, with a high quantity, or even this one, you are gonna run this also the missions. I ended up with more missions that I started with. Actually, I ended up not using much of my missions. I tried to catch up in the end, but I did not manage, because there's so many missions. Every second map, when you kill the boss, you get an extra mission basically. So when you have high quantity, your June is the syndicate members, gonna drop more loot. Delve is gonna give you more sulfite. Alba is gonna have a greater in the temple thing, it's gonna give you more loot. And Einhard the beasts are gonna also get killed and produce more loot. So all of these 3, the Sana one, it does not matter, because you open up another portal to another dimension or another map, which means that it's not gonna matter what quantity. So this one you can run on any kind of map mod. So that is my biggest tip here. So let's go into the investment right now. My investment was 120 chaos for 400 chisels, because you're gonna chisel them all up to maximum. Then we're gonna have 100 alchemy orb, that is 45 chaos with current rates. And I re-rolled 20 maps because I want a minimum of 70 quantity on my map and a minimum of 20 in pack size, unless it has some good mods like extra magic monster or beyond or something like that on them. And then we have scouring orb, because some of the maps that I used is just gonna be in rare format or magic format, so you might want to just take a look at those. Val map, valing all of them is gonna be 100, and it's gonna be 50 C that investment on those. And it's quite funny, because I used 70 white sextant and 70 yellow sextant, exactly the same. So for the white ones I invested 42 chaos, and for the yellow 105 chaos. So not that much investment there. For my sacrificial fragment, I did not run 3 on each because I find it tedious to just put them in there. I just put in a few here and there, and I ended up using 57 chaos because that's what I had in my inventory at the time. And then I just used consistently the 1 sacrificial fragments that I got from the bosses, the blights, and any other kind of mechanic, the sextants and stuff like that. So also the biggest investment was probably the harbingers from the Sana mod, which was 4 chaos for each one. I used it on 90 maps because sometimes I'm just clicking the button way too fast, and well, I should have used it on the 100 maps, but I did not. So that is 360 chaos in investment. You might be thinking that is very steep, but keep in mind that all this investment adds up to 804 chaos. That is 4.5 exalted approximately in investment. I almost got all of that back just from the sacrificial or the harbingers. I looked through real fast in my loot, and I can tell you that I got 740 C approximately from the harbinger, and that's not counting maps or anything like that, or any other drops I got from them. That's just counting the ancient, the annulment orb, and the fragments I got from for my exalted orb. And that is just making up for all the cost we have spent. So extremely good there. And I'm not gonna count in the map because I already know that I over sustained on Elder City Square. So those kind of things are moot. It does not matter because that is just gonna be a profit from now on. I'm gonna take out my map because I started with 23 maps that I bought from someone, and I ended up with much more than that. I have to check how much that is. I've still not gone through the loot. So let's go to the next section. And now we come to the important section, which is profit, the one you've been waiting for. Hopefully you've watched other parts so you can actually replicate what I'm doing much better, and hopefully you can get some tips on how to actually even improve on it with the next section I'm gonna go through. So I've put my different loots in different stash tabs to better visualize things. I didn't need to, but it's just easier to see where I got the loot from, and also it would not be as cramped in each stash tab. The Perendus coin symbolizes how much chaos that specific area. So for example, these maps were 300 chaos altogether, and the same for these and these. So there's multiple rows. When you see at the end of a row or above a row, that means that is how many chaos I valued everything. Everything is valued much lower, and because I have such a massive quantity of all the things, I can sell them in bulk, which means I can get a better price for all of these. But that's not what I've done. I set it as the lowest point, which makes sense because if I want fast sells, well, this is gonna generate instant sells. So you can expect more if you're doing this on all of these. That's all I wanted out of this. The only one I'm a little bit iffy on is the Elder City Square maps, because there's a few people selling them for 20, but I value them at 25 because there's no one selling them in larger bulk values. I mean, if you're buying these, you want to buy them in bulk anyway. So I valued them at 25. The other one was at 30. So I took a middle road between 20 and 30. I hope you're okay with that. So these are the ones that are over sustained. It's not all of them because I did not calculate in the delve, and also I did not calculate in other things like the temple and stuff like that. But the delve is in this because I find it very lucrative. You need to do delve whenever you can, and I have a lot of missions over from there, so I should have used those to even increase my profits even more. But these are 300 chaos. My tier 15 I valued at 10 chaos a piece, which is very low, and my tier 14 I valued at 4 chaos, some nice profits here. And I know some people had a problem with this in my last videos when I did 100 maps test, that you're not gonna sell these for these, but they sold instantly. You just put out that you want to buy, sell all 10 of them at once, and they sell. Because people don't want to go through the hassle, especially now with the master mission, when you can just kill the boss over and over again and just not clear. People will buy the cheaper maps. I just took out all the tier 11. I don't want to go through the hassle of actually selling those. I'm just gonna probably put them into the seller and just upgrade them to tier 12, but I have not put them into the profits. So blighted maps, not very many. We have some fragments, some bases that I know will just sell like they are. It doesn't matter the rolls. Not that many uniques, not that good. A lot of unique maps. I don't remember this many in Legion, and yeah, really unlucky on the fossils and some other miscellaneous stuff. Next section is gonna be all the divination cards, scarabs, and then some oils. The oils were not lucky, no golden oil, not really high tier oils. I did a lot of other tier 16 before this, and I got much more on those sections. So first of all, up here you can see how much each column is worth. So this one is 2,355 chaos, and that is the same as 12.7 if you calculate an exalted as 185, which is at this time I'm recording this section. Scarabs were pretty meh. These I should have picked up them from the start. I did not. I started around map 60 to start picking up these cards because I realized, wait, I should actually pick up these because there's one chaos for each card, and I know MBX Extreme turned in these in the 3.7 and he made massive profits of that video. So it's one of he actually made a profit out of. Stack decks is pretty good, and alls, like I said, could have been better. Some miscellaneous stuff here. Twice Enchanted, for example, is pretty good. Then I have one, and that was 573 chaos, by the way. It's 3.1, so not that much, but it covers the cost of basically my investment. And then we have our currency tab. This one is huge. It's 2,081 chaos, and obviously this is the best tab to have because you can just put it into your currency tab and it's just pure profits right here. As you can see, we're actually sustaining our alchemy orb. We are doing a good headway on the Val orbs, and we are basically sustaining almost everything through here. Sadly not sextants, but those are pretty cheap in this league, so I would not worry too much. I don't know if one of these exalteds is actually from the exalted shard. It feels like I only had two, and then the third one was from shards, so that might be from the harbinger modifier on the Sana, so there might be even more profit to the Sana mod. I have to do another 100 of another map and just see and track it better next time, but I'm pretty sure one of these exalted, because I had two I remember, but the third one I don't know. So there's a lot here. Look how much these piles are, especially this one, which is from the Sana modifier. That is massive, and that is not even, I only spent 360 chaos on the Sana mod, so I made double that back, just more than double that back, and that is not including all the other drops like maps and stuff like that. So definitely worth it. 2 times the value on Harbinger on tier 16, and 11.2 exalted was that one. Then we have Delve. I wanted to put that one in the side one because I tracked all of that separately, because some of you might not want to do Delve, even that you should, because this is not time consuming at all. You just gather up all your sulfite and then just run it all at once. This was like, I don't know, 1 hour of work right here, and or less actually, half an hour probably, because sulfite goes really fast. And I did not have any good Val cities or anything. I had to actually work towards those areas to discover new areas. I've just cleared those areas before I started this test, so it was not pegged for success from the beginning. But as you can see here, we got a lot of tier 16 Elder maps. So that means even more sustain, and that together with the Temple of Azuadal and other mechanics that I should have used better, that means you're gonna over sustain quite heavily. And as you know, the apprentice coins tells you how much each area here. Quite good on the fossils actually. 301. There's some minions here, some enchanting ones, and there's one that is lucky. Number of modifiers lucky, which is pretty high. So there is 6.3 exalted, and that is for like half an hour, somewhere in between there of work. So definitely worth it. So all of this together means that I've earned a 6,178 chaos. That is 33.4 exalted. But then I need to subtract the investment I put into this, which is, and by the way, I already taken out my elder map, so I don't count those into the investment. I take out 4.33 exalted from this. That means we are left with 29 exalted flat, or 29.04. So 29 exalted in pure profit. And I calculated that really high, on the higher end, 5 minutes per map, because some maps like the ones that I'm showing had extreme mob density and stuff like that, but that's not all of them. And I still did those in 3 to 3.5 minutes on that marker. And I'm adding for all the rest of things, and including delving in that. So I'm putting every map on this test for 5 minutes. That means 5 times 100, that is going to be 8 hours and 20 minutes. So if you divide the 29 exalted we got in profit by the 8 hours and 0.33333, that means we're going to have a total profit per hour of 3.5 exalted. 3.5 exalted is more than decent. You can farm up a headhunter pretty fast doing this. And also I got almost 1.5 levels, so I'm halfway, well, not halfway to 99, but I'm a good way there. So those were the profits. Let's go to the next section. For the next part, we're gonna talk about the improvements you should be doing if you're doing the same kind of test I'm doing, and the things that I'm gonna do in the future when it comes to this. Because it was my first 100 map test in this league, and there's some new mechanics in play. We are in desperate need of new information. There's some growing pains when it comes to all of this, and I can tell you right now I have a few things that I will do differently. So the first thing is to utilize all my master missions. I will probably just clear my master missions before I start the test, and then just start from zero, and then just consistently using my masters on all the high quantity maps. That is the second thing here. Use all your masters on high quantity maps, because that means they have a higher chance of dropping good loot. So that means you get more out of each of your master mission. The only one that doesn't matter is the Sana one, because you open up another portal anyway to another map, so it does not matter if you have a high quantity map you're doing it on. Also keep more consistent with the Sana modifier, the Harbinger mod that is. I need to put it on every single map this time, slow down a little bit and just keep track of putting it 100 on 100 maps. So also putting sacrificial fragments on each map, that it means 3 in each, so I can keep a steady stream of that, because I don't need to buy that many, so I don't think it's that much. You can buy them in bulk, and it's quite easy, because most people that are doing elder maps, they are using sacrificial fragments. So I'm gonna try to keep it consistent with 3 fragments on each and every map. So I think those are the things I'm gonna start with in the next league, and just sorting my maps much better, so the Sexton mods is combined with the best kind of maps for those occasions. But if you have watched this far, you're a trooper. That is super good, and I thank you for your support. And you can show your support even more by putting a like and subscribe to my channel. And like always, have an awesome day, everyone.